What's going on, everyone? Welcome into the Fantasy Alarm College Football DFS preview show for Week 14. We got Conference Championship weekend going on here. I'm here with Pete Cole, as always, and I'm Dan Servodidio. You can see our Twitter handles there. We are the Fantasy Alarm College sports team, college basketball, college football for you guys, and we're here talking the main slate for DraftKings and FanDuel, but we got the DraftKings pricing we'll be focusing on for this Saturday all-day conference championship weekend. Pete, how you doing? Ready for an awesome slate of games here?
Yeah, what's up, Dan? And this is it. So it seemed like we are just talking about this in August. I'm saying we're gonna be getting to November, and this is it. The last classic slate, I believe.
Yeah.
And I was just thinking, wasn't this last year? And everybody played the Max. The MAC is always on Saturday, and everybody played. I think it was Kent State, Northern Illinois, and the whole slate. Everybody's playing Rocky Lombardi. I think it was Dustin Crum, and it kind of ended up being a flop. I think that was last year, if I remember right. So
Yeah.
the chalk went down last year on Championship Saturday.
Yeah, it's always the case with because you got the MAC games or you got the the AAC matchup, which we have this year with UCF Tulane being a possible
I like
one
that
game
game,
we're looking
actually.
at. Yeah, it's gonna be a good one to watch in general.
Yeah.
But for DFS, it's always like risky because then everyone wants to play the flashy plays, but sometimes it's just sticking with what got us here.
True, and that's what you got to remember too. Because I remember playing Lombardi and Crum in the same lineup in my cash, and it didn't go very well. So,
Well, we're here to help people learn from their mistakes, and we'll learn from ours. So yeah, we got this all day conference championship games, and just a quick before we dive into position by position, just a quick shout out to go check out the FA All Pro Fantasy Arm All Pro package. 50% off right now for all the DFS, NFL for the rest of the season. But NBA. Me and Peter diving into college basketball. If you guys have been following along there, so we're helping you to win there every single day, basically. And then through, obviously through college football bowl season, we'll have some mini slates here and there. So we got you guys covered. But yeah, going through this Saturday slate here. Just a quick reminder that so we only have two games that have higher totals. If you're looking at betting odds and all that, the Big 12 matchup between Kansas State and TCU is above 60, and then the Clemson North Carolina, the ACC title game, is above 60 game totals. But all the rest are 50s and lower, mid 50s. UCF Tulane is also creeping towards 60, but kind of one of the lower middle tier games. But we do have some games like Coastal Carolina Troy that'll probably be lower scoring. So we'll go through that, but you'll notice some of those plays we don't really shout out. But let's start out with quarterback here, Pete. Drake Maye at the top here. I mentioned in one of those higher scoring games against Clemson. Going to be a popular play for sure. I think it's between, as the top cash popular quarterback play. I think it's going to be Drake Maye and Max Duggan. I would think people choosing between them. John Reese Plumlee's there too, but I think Stetson Bennett is a guy we talked about. It's always like GPP, not really cash.
yeah.
So, where are you looking for the top end of quarterback here?
Well, normally be Drake Maye, and last week I think that was a 7 p.m. slate. Last week I played Drake Maye, and 2 weeks ago we were talking about this guy is like being one of the front runners for the Heisman, and then all of a sudden, boom! The bottom dropped out, and they lost their last two games, but still. I just pulled up his leads the nation total offense 373, fourth in passing yards, fourth in TDs, 10th in efficiency. So, redshirt freshman. He ranks fifth and third in Power Five touchdowns and points. I guess so. He probably still the popular play, but I'm not crazy about him like I would have been last week before. It just scared me. He's kind of dropped out, but he's still. The kid has had a good season. You can't take that away from him.
Yeah.
But he's not a must. I don't think there's one quarterback on this slate that's a must play this week. And it would normally have been Maye. But I think that's kind of changed a little bit.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't think there is a definite top quarterback. I do think it's going to be Maye and Duggan for me, like between those two guys. And maybe I'll try to fit both in. But, Maye
right.
is.
Probably one of those two is a pay ups. You're right.
Yeah. But yeah, like Maye. So I look at this matchup. Clemson's defense they're really good on the ground, but I think they're more susceptible through the air against And Spencer Rattler actually had a big game against them
No
last
doubt.
week.
I was gonna say that.
So yeah, that's the area. Like, all right, we can look to Drake Maye for that, and Maye gives you that rushing upside too. Has got always a upside for a rushing touchdown here and there. So, I think it's between him and Duggan. Duggan. I mean, the TCU offense is going to be rolling every week. This matchup is interesting because it's a rematch against Kansas State. So maybe since they've seen him before, maybe they figure out some of the tricks there, and they maybe force Duggan into a couple of mistakes that he hasn't had before. But I think it's weird to say. I think Maye might be safer than Duggan, even though Duggan's the quarterback of the undefeated TCU team.
I think you're right. No, I think you're right. And I'm looking at his last 4 games. He's only averaging like 18 fantasy points. He had that dud against Texas, kind of a dud against Tech. So a couple decent games in there. But
when he faced Kansas State earlier this year, he only had 24 DraftKings points. So, something to think about.
280 yards. Yep, only 280 yards. He did throw. Yep, you're right. 2 touchdowns, and I have 25 DK points. So, yeah, I'd be leaning more Maye.
Yeah,
I'm starting to see a lot of movement toward DJ, and I bulls him all the time. What is it? Ukulele? I guess that's for Clemson.
Ukulele.
But I've been burning it for the last 2 years. But let everybody play him. I'm not, and especially when Dabo Swinney's come back, and he's even said that he's on a hot seat this week. And there's the first sign of trouble. I would not be surprised if Cade Klubnik comes in, and Klubnik's looked good when he's actually played.
Yeah.
And I'm seeing a lot of talk about DJ being one of the top plays this week.
So he is he from a stats standpoint, he is because of the matchup against North Carolina.
The Carolina defense, right?
Yeah. But I'm with you. I think there's a very good chance we see Cade Klubnik in this game, especially because I think there's been a lot of rumors and a lot of speculation that DJ might be transferring away, or he might hit that transfer portal. And I mean, if you're thinking of like Dabo Swinney's shoes, if you just want to get Klubnik in there and see what he's got in like a conference championship atmosphere,
100% right. And I actually saw I pulled up earlier. I saw this press conference this weekend. The first question was about DJ, and Dabo said DJ will start the game, and that's all I'm going to tell you. So that doesn't give me much confidence.
Yeah, he's a really good GPP option if you want to take that risk, but it's hard to like lock him in as like a one of the top quarterbacks overall. It'd be different if we knew his, we knew he was going to play the whole game, and the Clemson offense hasn't been as weird and inconsistent as it has been this year. So,
Carolina defense is allowed 273 through the air, 169 on the ground, third worst on the slate through the air beside Coastal Carolina, Ohio. So, yeah, any other quarterback I'd be all over him. But hey, DJ could have a good game. There's no doubt about it. GPP play, I guess, but I'm not playing him in cash. Way too many questions.
Yeah, well, it's annoying because I've wanted to. Every week it was like, all right, we're targeting the North Carolina defense, whoever they're playing, but this is a tough way to do it.
Yeah.
And like you said, you're taking risks on this last slate, last full slate of the year. It's like you want to go out on top, so kind of tough.
I'm not getting burned like I did last year. So
yeah,
and like you said, there's not one real safe play here. I'm starting to see. So is Finn? I originally thought Finn wasn't going to be going. I thought it was going to be Gleason. Now I'm starting to see talk that Finn may be going in this MAC game. You got to talk about the MAC game.
Yeah, I think we might see both of them. Because Finn, he played last week, but he didn't play the whole game.
And I jumped all over that when I saw he's playing. I like 11:58.
I know.
I thought I had one hell of a play there. He was like 1% owned. That was a flub. So
and it's tough because Ohio's pass defense isn't great. So this is like also a matchup we'd want to target.
Give it up 305.
Yeah.
305 in the air.
Yeah. The worst on the slate, right, I guess? Or is North Carolina?
Yep. Ohio, Coastal Carolina, and then North Carolina. So Ohio is the worst pass teams numbers wise. But so on the other end, what about? I mean, C.J. Harris. I have a little bit interest in C.J. What's C.J. Harris's price?
He's cheap.
For only 5.5 for Ohio.
I think he's an option. Yeah, because we know Curtis Rourke's out and
is done.
We got.
Hasn't been bad.
The thing with my thinking here is that the Toledo defense is better than you'd think.
Yeah, you're right. The numbers, the Toledo defense is not.
Yeah, like
bad,
statistically,
really
they're pretty good. I just don't know how much are they gonna let him throw it around? You know, he might be running it a little bit. He had 3 rushing touchdowns last week in his first start, but
yeah, that's pretty dangerous outside the pocket. You're right, and good call. 2 contests. I'm seeing 103 rushing yards, 20 attempts, kind of scampered for 3 touchdowns. That was Bowling Green game. So yeah, you get him outside. So, but I guess GPP play. I do have some interest in him.
For sure, in play for GPPs there, especially he's like the cheapest guy. We mentioned that Coastal Carolina matchup. Gunnar Watson is in play 5,600, but he's been kind of it's a DFS game log watchers will be like ew, so.
but once again, look how this Carolina team is. I mean, they are trash against the pass, 278. But yeah, you're gonna depend on Gunnar Watson.
That's what we were talking about earlier. You're just trying to if you get cute, like we were talking about the MAC quarterbacks, but this is like you're getting cute with the Sun Belt quarterback, and
this is where I get myself in trouble every week. I fall for these guys. I fell for the Arkansas QB one week. Was it last week? I can't remember who it was. The guy who was a quarterback last week, a running quarterback that didn't play well.
Oh,
whatever. I can't.
He entered the transfer portal. He's gone now. I know who you're talking about, though. Yeah.
But I'm looking at Gunnar Watson. I mean, 144 yards last week. He only had 7 DK, 3 DK. Okay, never mind. So, no, Gunnar goes down. Even though it is a bad defense, so you take a chance on GVPs you want.
I am looking at Will Howard at 6,300 on DraftKings. I think
I don't mind him.
He's at a great price there, and he's been doing well since becoming the starter with Adrian Martinez out. So
flies right under the radar too every week.
Yeah, he's priced weirdly low on DraftKings because actually on FanDuel he's priced up. Like he's 10.6 on DraftKings, which is higher than. Actually, $100 less than Max Duggan. So it's like very interesting there that he's priced this cheap on DraftKings. So he's a good play, and TCU's defense been. It seems like every game they're either doing well or they're struggling. So I feel like this could be a matchup where Kansas State, him and Deuce Vaughn, we'll get to in a second, the running back. But I think like him and Vaughn will both be really good plays on the slate.
Howard may be the type of guys could go in the radar and could nuke it for you.
This is one of those high total games. There's only 2 that are in the 60s point range. So
one of them.
Yeah, and Kansas State's only a 2.5 point underdog or 2 point underdog. So
2.5.
So it's short spread there, which is what we love. The game's gonna be back and forth. But I think
defense is not good.
Yeah.
Michael Pratt's my guy.
Pratt, okay, I was gonna mention because we got in that range we got Pratt, we got Taylor Green, who I think been really good and definitely in play for Boise State, but those 2 are right above.
Green. I went off him we thought he was only going to play a half, and that was one of probably my dumbest moves of the year. Well, I shouldn't say dumb because even the beats were saying he was only going to play probably a half.
Well,
and
I don't think many people really played him though. So
no, they didn't. He was alone. I just wish I stayed with him, and then. I was on him too, but we talked about it before the game, and the right call was to sit him was we didn't think he was going to play much at all, and But I think Pratt is safe. Now I watched a lot of UCF. They've already played before, and I think, especially because they're going to be so concentrated on Spears, and anytime Spears starts ripping off those runs. and he's already done it against UCF. That allows a guy like Pratt to throw passes to receivers that are getting single covered now because all attention is being paid to Spears. And when the UCF starts playing that pressure defense and not overcommitting numbers, and that I would call like unsound football, whatever, that's when they get burned. And a guy like Pratt, because I mean Spears is an animal, but I mean, it did sack him, I guess, a couple times last game, but I think Pratt is I think he's probably one of the safest spots. I think he is because everything is going towards all the concentration is going to be on Tajay Spears. So I really think he's going to get top running back tomorrow, and that offensive line that they have is actually is really good for Tulane.
Yeah.
So I just think Pratt is going to be a real game, and I think you can play Pratt and Spears tomorrow. I think it's one of the rare ones you can play both of them together tomorrow or Saturday.
Okay. Yeah, I do think Pratt has been a guy that we've gone to a bunch this year because
especially in cash. I'm not sure about GPP, but UCF's going to probably put an extra defender in the box, and then they're going to force Tulane to think twice about that power run game. And I think Pratt's good enough. I mean, he's capable of a flop, but I think he's one of the safer plays on the board. Honestly, I'm looking at like Maye and Pratt right now, I think Maye and Pratt right now. I'm really looking at for my cash because JRP. I think he's hurting. We saw that last week because Mikey Keene comes in and I think they even said it. I can't remember. I forgot the UCF's coach names, but they even said it. He's been hurt for like 2 or 3 weeks now. So,
yeah, I wanted to mention him because he had against Tulane, he had 176 rushing yards and two rushing touchdowns.
Yeah, last week, right? UCF.
And last week he had 133 and 2 touchdowns and had 35 DraftKings points. But yeah, you're right. They brought Keenan.
He did, and Malzahn said it again that his hamstring. He has not been healthy. I'm looking at now. His hamstring's not been healthy for a while.
Yeah, he's dealing with a hamstring.
It's the hammy, and so that to me that's GPP play right there.
Yeah, he's the definition of a GPP play on this slate for sure because he can go off for 40 like he did against Tulane earlier this year, but he's definitely a risk. So yeah, like him and DJ Uyunglele are definitely like the top GPP options who can go off but also just burn your lineup. So
and like a Daquan Finn, if he plays, Finn could go off.
Yeah,
he plays the whole game.
And people will definitely not play Finn because he's in that same range as like Pratt, Taylor Green, Will Howard.
And we said Ohio's a bad. We're beating a dead horse now, but Ohio's got a bad defense.
Yeah.
So I think Finn isn't played for GPPs. So there's not really no lock cashes. I don't see this week.
I don't think so either. I think Maye will probably be more popular than Max Duggan, like at the top there.
I think so. I'm seeing DJ still is one of the highest projected ownership right now. I'm seeing DJ.
That's surprising.
49% in some sites.
I'll let people play him. Yeah, like you said.
Exactly. Yep. Yeah. Keep it up there. Put it to 60.
I do think I'm leaning Will Howard over over Pratt as my quarterback too.
I can dig that.
But I could see like Pratt's gonna be a good play. So I think they're both really good. Taylor Green too is right in that mix for me. But yeah.
I mean, Fresno State's like a middle of the road defense. Not too bad. I mean, really only allowing a 194 in the air. So that's probably more GVP too.
Yeah, that's gonna game that it's gonna go a little bit under the radar because like Jake Hayner's on the other side who could easily have a good game too. I mean, Boise State's defense is good, but Hayner's a really good quarterback. So
we've seen Hayner nuke slates too, right?
Yeah.
So. That's all I got for quarterback. Then it's very condensed, but I don't mind your Howard call at all over Pratt. But I'm probably gonna go with one of those two with Maye, and then run Dugan and a GPP.
Yeah. And by the way, it's hilarious that the top team on this in the country and on this slate is Georgia, and we're not gonna play Bennett. We're not gonna play. We'll talk about the running backs and receivers, but I'm not playing anybody because just real quick on this game because we probably won't talk about it much is I just don't know how much Georgia's starters are gonna play because they could probably lose this game and still be in the college football playoff. So
True.
The starters are probably going to play a half, I would think. I mean, they don't need to. And if they're probably going to be winning at halftime and don't need to. And Jaden Daniels is banged up on the other side for LSU, so I just don't know for LSU's offense how much they're even going to score. So, but yeah, that's the extent of this game that I'm going to be focusing on. I mean, I'll watch it, but I just don't think theoretically the Georgia's offense players don't need their starters don't need to play.
I don't think I have anybody. Bowers would be the closest I guess you would have.
Yeah.
Play, and I don't mind the one running back, not McIntosh, the other kid. I played him off and on this year. I just drew a blank on the kid's
Milton
name,
or Edwards.
Edwards.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. So let's just go into running backs now because Georgia's running backs group. It's like, yeah, McIntosh has been good lately. I just don't know again how much he plays or how much he does before he's out of the game. But then they're gonna mix in Milton and Edwards. So those are interesting GPP options if you want to go that route. But just kind of tough to trust in cash for both of them. But let's stick with running back. So the big news, Blake Corum came out. We're recording this on Thursday night, so it came out today that Corum is having season-ending knee surgery. So he's going to be out for this game, and definitely assume he's going to be out for the college football playoff. But he played a couple snaps last week and ended up sitting, and Donovan Edwards had a massive game. So he is, but it's interesting. So he's got a hand injury. He's got a cast on his hand. I would presume that he's going to be the lead back in this game.
Yeah.
But it's the same interesting spot as Georgia, where Michigan doesn't need to play all their starters, especially into the second half. And if Corum's out now, Edwards is their lead guy. I don't know how much Edwards is going to play in this game.
I think he's gonna be popular though. When everybody
he's going to be popular, but I'm already looking at it like Michigan would be smart to not play him.
17-point favorites at home, yeah.
They don't need to play him at all, but they probably will. But yeah, last week, against Ohio State, he went off. So
he did. I mean, he looked really good, and I mean, even JJ McCarthy, honestly, I think has looked good lately. I mean, but they have both. That was Edwards' coming out party the last few weeks, and he's looked good. But I think I agree with you, and I think I'm going to stay away from him in cash. I'll run him in some GBPs, but I really think that Deuce is the guy. I think you got to play Deuce, right? First of all.
Yeah, he's the top running back overall for me.
There's a few guys I like here. So I guess just get Deuce out of the way. Deuce is. I think you can run Deuce and Miller, both of these guys in this game. I think you can run them both in cash. Miller, I think, has best game of the year against wasn't TCU's first game against Kansas State, I believe.
Yeah, he had I'm pulling it up now.
They had that big comeback. They're down by like 18, 20 points. So let me see. 153 rushing, two touchdowns second half. I think he's had a touchdown every game this year.
Yeah, he has.
Right?
He's been as consistent, as good as it gets in DFS, and he's still priced very affordable on DraftKings.
Still 6'6", right? And I think Deuce is 7'2". Still, Deuce is definitely. And I haven't tried to make a lineup yet though, but Deuce.
Honestly, you can this game and the Clemson North Carolina game and even UCF Tulane, like you can stack up these three and be fine.
Yeah, there's no doubt, and we don't have to talk about too much about Tajay again, but I think Edwards I think Tajay Spears is a complete animal. He's one of my favorite runners now, and if I could run three, it's going to be Vaughn, Spears, and Miller in my running. If I can get them and run three running backs this week, maybe this is a 4 running back week. I haven't tried yet. These quarterbacks aren't great, but who's going to be your 4th running back? Shipley, Edwards.
I do worry about Spears because, like you said, I think UCF's defense is going to focus on shutting him down and force Pratt to beat them.
There will be. They did it
and
before. There's gonna be an extra man in the box,
and
but I mean, he did it.
and they did that in the first meeting. So he had
He did.
he had um he had 8 carries, which was a season low. Oh no, season low if you don't count the 52-0 win over Alcorn State. His 8 carries against UCF was a season low, 130 yards, which is nice, but 70 of them came on one rush.
Good call. That's a good call there.
So
because I was being blinded by the 130. Yeah.
which I think it's he's been fantastic and a stud. I've played him a bunch in DFS in recent weeks, so
Been good. Yeah.
I love playing. I love him. Like you're watching him too. He's a dynamic athlete, but I do
He's
think in this
right?
matchup,
He's a monster. He's hard to tackle.
Yeah.
He's fun. He's fun to watch.
yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see like if he's a guy that I don't know what his status is, what year he is actually, but if he's gonna be trying to look to transfer to a bigger school or something next year because he could be a top draft prospect if he wanted to be.
Yeah. Remember he had ACL I think 2 years ago. So
Okay.
he's had a nice comeback too.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts? So okay, so say we wipe out Spears. What's your thought on this Vidal kid at 5'7" for Troy? Because this is another kid. This kid's a monster.
Yeah.
I mean, he had he had a couple duds, but look at you see his last 2 games?
Yeah, he's getting fed the ball the last 2 games.
49 DK, 39 DK, 242 and 208.
And yeah, he's had 4 touchdowns last week against Arkansas State. Yeah, I think I like. I'm not playing any Coastal guys, but like on the other side of this game, I definitely look at Troy. Interesting. Troy is playing at home. I think it's a true home game for them.
Yes, it is.
In that
I
Sun Belt
believe
Championship.
you're right.
Which, by the way, now that we mentioned that, so Boise State and Tulane are also playing at home in their Conference Championship games, so they're hosting. But yeah, Vidal at home here. Yeah, if he's getting it in that volume at 5,700, it's really hard to ignore that.
Mockbee in that range too. If Mockbee plays, I think he's in a great spot. Devin Mockbee.
You think against Michigan's defense?
I think I do. I think it's he's not cheap though at 6'1".
Yeah, like I'd much rather play Vidal or even RJ Harvey's at 5,400 is a decent play.
I was gonna bring up RJ Harvey next because RJ Harvey is probably almost as cheap as you can almost go in like cash. I think. Where else you gonna go? I mentioned Edwards.
The one guy I wrote down I was gonna ask you about. So Micah Kelly for Toledo is 3,600. He's been getting carries last couple games. Toledo's backfield is a committee, so it's it's impossible to trust. But double digit DraftKings points in the last 2 games. I don't know. I think he's in play. Oh, you know what? He was out. Did he not? He didn't even get a carry in week 13. I'm seeing now. So maybe that's a GPP option, but I don't know.
Yeah. The Western Michigan he didn't play. Bowling Green, Ball State he had decent games.
Yeah.
Why didn't he play last week? These MAC games.
I know.
I was writing them up in the playbook. I couldn't even keep track of them half the time.
The MAC injury news is non-existent. So yeah. So
maybe on that, he actually had beat writers too. Actually, beat writers actually travel with the team. They can't tell you why Lou Nichols is not dressed. I mean, a guy like Lou Nichols, everybody knows.
So maybe, maybe not. Obviously, I wasn't gonna say in cash for him, but that's like a GP. That's the cheapest I was gonna go for GPP. But in cash, I think it's Vidal, right? Is the cheapest.
Probably Vidal. But I think you can throw. I think you can throw Harvey in there. I think Harvey actually is in. Harvey's given up 154 yards in the ground. I mean, that's not a great real run defense. And Harvey's pretty much he's been the man.
Yeah,
he was a quarterback at one time.
Yeah, he's been so much better than Bowser lately. I mean,
you put me on him like 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
the first week when he had that good game actually, and I did play him that week too. I thought you were crazy at first. I got looking at him, but it's a good play, and he had a good game. So,
yeah, he like caught on kind of quickly. It was like, all right, they're giving him touches.
He's carrying the ball 15, 16 times. I mean, Navy game wasn't much, but still. that Memphis game since he get really well against Cincinnati, ECU. He didn't do bad, but he's catching he's catching the ball in the backfield too. So,
Yeah, I mean, if his floor the last like he's at least 8 points, which is it's not two, but he's at double digit points a lot more often than not, and he's still 5,400 is pretty cheap. FanDuel, he is what is he at? He's at 8,500 or I missed. That was Vidal. Vidal's 8,500 on FanDuel, so it's he's priced up a little bit more. I'm not sure what Harvey is actually. I don't have that up, but I do think
everybody's in the 6Ks here for DraftKings. Elijah Green, they're all like the same price.
Yeah. I do want to go back to Shipley because we were talking about Clemson, their quarterback situation. I do think like Shipley is a guy that he's more locked into touches and more locked into production against this pretty bad North Carolina defense. So I think Shipley is a better play than he hasn't been a great option. He doesn't cracked 100 rushing yards a lot this year, but I think he's going to get the work. He's going to get the work. He scores almost every game.
So Shipley or Donovan Edwards? Shipley for cash?
I would think I would lean Shipley over Edwards. There's a chance Edwards, again, goes for 200 rushing yards like he did last week and multiple touchdowns. I honestly don't know how much they're going to play him, especially after this Corum news, because he is their lead running back, and he's the only running back that they have that's gotten meaningful snaps and carries this season.
Yeah.
So why I think they would rest him or only play him for a half. I don't know if it's gonna, and it's a weird situation because that is something that won't come out beforehand. Because why would Michigan's not going to tell Purdue, all right, we're not playing our starting running back, but I could easily see him playing only a few drives and being out. So I think obviously the GPP ceiling is there. So, and I could be, I fully acknowledge that he could go off for 30 plus DFS points.
No, definitely same like we were talking about the Boise State guys last week. So I think you're not paying down and running back this week. You're really not. You're gonna. I mean, I don't see. You can't much. You don't go much lower. I don't think. Then
there's really no true.
There's not much.
Kamani Vidal.
Kelly probably is. It probably is Micah Kelly. But then you have that could be a Jackhead Stewart game. He could come in all of a sudden and roll and get all those guys like all those Toledo guys, Perry Boone and stuff. And
I know it's
guys that just Coy destroys the slate. We don't know.
Yeah, it's just darts.
Edwards and Billingsley. So yeah, you got to stay safe for running back. I'm not messing with them, even if I got to go cheaper at quarterback.
Yeah, I'd rather go cheaper, and we'll get to some values at receiver here. But I'd rather go cheaper at receiver than running back on this slate.
Yeah, there's that one value I'm even looking at right now. I could even play in my first probably 2 or 3 lineups right now. So
yeah.
I'm not going lower than Harvey.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I got.
All right, let's go to receiver then. So Josh Downs is like the clear. If you're playing Drake Maye, you might want to get Downs in there. I don't think you have to, but Downs he's about as sure as they get. On this slate at least. He's kind of like Maye. He's had a couple down weeks, but I do think they bounce back in this game.
He's not like some of these other guys, like Hutchinson and some of these guys who've seen a year.
He's not. But, he's definitely not Hutchinson.
Yeah.
I do think he's going to be a top. People play him because there's really not another top receiver. I think like Charlie Jones is in play. Going against Michigan, I think it's a tough matchup, and you don't know how good he'll be, but great GPP option. Jalen Cropper, same thing. Boise State's a tough matchup, and Cropper always has. Yeah, he definitely has the talent to go off. But the top end of receiver, I don't know what you think about it, but I see a lot of these guys besides Downs and Cash, but I see a lot of these guys as GPP plays, and Quentin Johnston, all the UCF guys. Ryan O'Keefe. Where are you looking here?
There's got. I mean, so okay, you played downs. You played downs with May. Troy Jones is not impressed me tomorrow. Antonio Jones is maybe one. I mean, Antonio Williams
Yeah.
at 5'7" is actually one of my favorite receivers. Um,
Yeah, so we got Bo Collins out again, and now he's
right.
out for the year, but he was out earlier this year. And in one of those games, Williams went for 10 catches and 83 yards and a touchdown.
He's got
I
15
like
more
him a
catches than the
lot.
next person
I like
than
him a
the tight
lot.
end.
Yeah.
So I think Williams is. I could play like a Josh Down Williams. That's where I could go cheap. I know. I know. I guess we're talking up. So, okay. There's not. Newton didn't do anything last week. There's not. There's not. There's not. Once again, there's not one must play here, is there?
No, I don't think so. I think, and this is again exemplifying
Wow.
why you can pay down at receiver, because you can get a guy like Antonio Williams or, the Kansas State guys. Malik Knowles, I think, is a solid play. He's been like a sneaky, just kind of consistent double-digit DFS points every week. It seems. And in that you get more exposure to one of the high total games. So I think like if you wanted to go Knowles or Phillip Brooks, I think is always a GPP dart if you want, but I'm not really looking there. But I think Knowles is like the other cheap guy in the mid range. But I like your Williams call.
Yeah, there's like nobody even close to Williams. That there's nobody even. I mean, on a team, like I said, he's got 50 receptions. The closest to him is Davis Allen, a tight end. He's got 18 more catches than Allen.
Yeah.
And especially if you like DJ and you like Clemson, I guess that's the way you go, right? I mean,
Yeah. I like Devin Maddox from Toledo. I think
that was another one.
he's kind of gotten it
bring that
done.
up.
He's gotten it done whether it's been Finn or not under center. So I think that's like a situation where it doesn't matter who's quarterback. He's their top receiver and in a really good matchup against Ohio. So I think like as a decent cash play there in the mid range if you want to go there.
This is a tough group here.
Yeah.
This really is because
But you mentioned Newton, by the way, from Toledo. Yeah, like and he's in play.
Wiggles would normally be in play if it was a different quarterback. You got this Tez Johnson from Troy. Tez Johnson from Troy at 6'3", but I'd probably rather go to Bowers in that range, right?
Bowers is. I mean, he's. I don't know how much he's gonna play.
I know
They don't need to play him at all.
he's not a cash play, so.
But he also obviously has the talent. He's one of the top tight end in the country. Him and Michael Meyer. He could go for 3 touchdowns in any game. So yeah, but I'm not playing him in
Newton
cash.
Newton may be the play here because now I'm thinking about at that price, they're definitely, so if it's either Finn or Tucker Gleason, they're gonna need Newton to step up.
Yeah. Well, that's why I was looking
that's
at.
Where Maddox comes in. If they do keep Newton in check, which they kind of did last week, then you got Devin Maddox stepping in, who definitely needs to play a role. It's either Newton or Maddox, which I would do lean Newton.
Yeah, I do think both of them are solid options there.
I think they are. I think they may be more solid than a lot of other names we're mentioning.
The other guy,
Jay Johnson for Troy.
Yeah, he's an option. The other guy I was looking at was Deuce Watts for Tulane. It seems like he's always he's scored a touchdown in like 6, 7 in the last 8 games or something like that.
That's a good call. And Deuce Watts is the other one that flies right under the radar. So SMU, he did play the SMU game. He had 2 targets, no catches. But take the SMU game out, the Cincinnati game touchdown. You're right. UCF touchdown. Not one Tulsa, but one from Memphis. USF. Nice, nice call there. ECU touchdown.
He's definitely he's a red zone target for Michael Pratt for sure. So
Deuce Watts or Rajay Johnson once you get down there, because I think Rajay Johnson's in a decent spot too, because that. I mean, Tez Johnson is the main guy, but Rajay had a big game last week.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then he had a couple three targets last week. I
Hey
mean, three
Pete.
targets, 21 yards. Another reason why he's only 4,500, I guess.
Pete, you know what? I just want to make sure you know what you're doing now. You're playing. You're playing the guys you said you wouldn't play. You're getting cute with some of these Mac and some of
That's
these
exactly.
Sunbelt plays,
This will happen. This is what happens.
which I might do too with these Toledo guys. I mean,
There's not much safe place here. My grammar was terrible there, but
that's why I was saying like Malik Knowles, like he has a solidified role with Kansas State's receiving core, and he's been good with Will Howard under there. So
yeah, you're right. How he has played really well under Will Howard. So and he is the one. I would call him in the alpha right now.
I know, yeah, it's the Kansas State offense is a little weird because it's like, with Adrian Martinez in there, it was so different because it was Martinez running like crazy and like you couldn't trust any of the receivers. But I think it's a little bit different now.
This Malik Knowles game log is not bad at all.
Yeah, it's not. Once you look through it, it's not that bad.
He's averaging 15 fantasy points last 4, and that's also including that bad game against Baylor. So, okay, so we just need a whole bunch of names. I think to kind of make it, I'm probably looking at Downs. And I don't even think Downs is a lock. I think you can even play Antoine Green and not play Downs, but I probably will play Downs if I play Maye. And then I got a job. I think Antoine Williams at 5.7, and then go a little bit cheap, maybe like Williams and Knowles for cash.
Yeah, if you are looking for some cheap darts,
Tough slate.
You mentioned him earlier. Yeah, it is tough. You mentioned him earlier though, but Davis Allen, I think he's like a dart for Clemson if you want to go there. Because of Bo Collins being out, Allen will get some more looks there.
What about Joseph Nagata for Clemson?
Yeah, he's a guy like he's like got so much talent, but he just has not performed like it this year. And I think it's that offense of like just
one of those guys that'll come in, comes through in a championship game or something. I could see UNC finally winning the ACC. North Carolina's never won the ACC championship. I could see Carolina finally winning that. So
yeah.
So then, who else you got? You got Ben Sinnott for Kansas State at 3.5.
The other guy I was gonna say was for North Carolina, Nesbitt. Where's he at? What price is he at?
Nesbitt is 5.2.
Yeah, okay, so he's more expensive than I thought, but he's a guy that's been involved lately with Green banged up, so I thought, he's an option. I mean, honestly, any receivers like pass catchers in the Clemson North Carolina game or the Kansas State TCU game, I think like any of these guys, if they catch a touchdown, they return value if you're looking for GPPs. So it's like, the TCU receivers we haven't mentioned, but like Tay Barber could catch a touchdown or two. It's tough to trust anyone for cash because like for TCU, it's really spread out their receivers. Even Quentin Johnston like isn't a stud every week, and he's banged up right now. So tough to play him at 6.5 on DraftKings, but he's got the ceiling to go off.
Oh yeah, you can do just slate, of course.
Yeah.
So in other words, this is a GPP slate. This really is.
Yeah.
There's how many we haven't mentioned very few locks beside I guess like a Deuce Vaughn, right? Deuce Vaughn, maybe Condre Miller. I think they're your two locks. I think that's it in the entire slate.
I think a lot of
consider Maye a lock.
Yeah, I think a lot of people just stack up that backfield in cash, and it's tough to get cute with running backs because of all those guys at the top. So it's like we were talking about, like Harvey might be the cheapest we go.
It's a tough slate. This is gonna be a tough build.
Yeah,
and you may have to go cheaper. You may have to go cheaper at quarterback, or actually maybe run. Can you run 4 running backs with like a Drake Maye? I mean, is that possible? I haven't tried it yet, but that might be a way to go. I'm looking at like a Maye, a Vaughn, a Condre Miller. So you want to throw like a Shipley in there, and then say like a RJ Harvey. I don't know. I mean, is that possible with the Josh Downs I'm not sure if it is.
Go
Yeah, it is.
go with a couple dart throw receivers.
Yeah, like I'm looking at Newton Williams, something like, or it's possible. Like maybe it's for running back build, maybe a way to go, unless you want to, go somewhere instead of Shipley. We might run one of them, cheap six K quarterbacks. This is
Yeah.
a GBP slate. I'm looking at it. Definitely a GBP slate. Michael Pratt, 7K. I guess I'd rather be safe with like a Michael Pratt, especially if we think Spears may have some issues. Then I think, if they're we talk about Pratt, I think Pratt's in a better spot, especially if they're spend too much attention on Spears.
Yeah, I do think he'll be passing more often. Um, so
Yeah,
yeah,
maybe start looking at some of Pratt's guys. So
the volume would be there,
um,
and like I mentioned, he's playing at home, which helps.
yeah, I'm liking Pratt more and more, and maybe staying away from Spears. I'll get Spears and GVPs. I love Spears,
Yeah, for
but
sure. He's been on fire lately, but
yeah, I think Pratt, if not Will Howard, but I like your Will Howard call, but I really do think Pratt could be what happened in the game here now, with everybody looking at Spears.
yeah.
So,
All right. Well, before we get out, any final thoughts on the slate? I guess we just kind of went through it, but
yeah, we kind of their famous. I think it's more GPP slate,
it's gonna be tough.
but try to be as safe as possible because and it's gonna be one of them running backs in that 4 or 5, that 3, 4, or 5K range. That's gonna go off somebody. One of these probably Mac running backs or something. But we can't. I have no idea because if I haven't figured it out in the last 2 months during these max slates, I'm not gonna figure out tomorrow. So I just try to think be as safe as possible, and that's with running backs, and that's with the Drake Mays and the Will Howards. You know what I mean? And Pratt's a safe guy,
Yeah.
and try to be safe. I like him Malik Knowles call too. They really got Malik Knowles on my radar until you brought it up. I think he's really a strong call.
It is tough, I will say. Just we're talking about going heavier on this Kansas State TCU game, and it's one of the first ones of the day. So it's like if you have a couple bad games or whatever, there's a chance that you're just trying to
Done early.
play catch up late with only a few guys. So
And this is what happened last year. That was the Mac game with Rocky Lombardi. I knew it, and it was 2 duds.
Well,
And it was a long day after that, trying to rearrange and shuffle and get back into it. It was tough.
yeah, that's why the Toledo Ohio game's at noon Eastern as well. So it's like
Just get it out of the way.
but that the Clemson North Carolina though, I mean, if a lot of people have Drake Maye, that's a night game. So
We load up on that. We load up on Shipley. We load up on Maye. Load up on Josh Downs, and roll it there. Roll up Antonio Williams, which
yeah,
at least we still have something to play for because you never know that TCU. I don't think TCU Kansas State's going to dud out.
no,
But they're playing U.S. Central Florida. But I probably will be staying away from the MAC this year. Now it'll go off.
yeah. Let's stick with the high scoring Big 12 game that we all know is gonna happen. Watch it be. Watch it be. What was the final score of that TCU Texas game? Like 13-7 or something.
It'll end up being 13-3, or I'll be bitching because I played Tucker Gleason Saturday afternoon, or one of these other guys like a Gunnar Watson or something.
Exactly.
I decided to do 2 at the last minute, so I got to watch myself because I fall for these cheap quarterbacks, especially running quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I would have been all over Finn this week, but after we see what Finn did last week, he's obviously not fully healthy. I don't think you can play Finn in cash either. 6-7.
No.
Just like hear more news.
Yeah, that's GPP. I mean, he could go off, but yeah.
Definitely.
All right, Pete.
That's all I got. Interesting slate.
All right, well, everyone, go check out Fantasy Alarm written playbook if you're reading this. I have that up. But then in Discord, me and Pete will be there helping you guys with any unexpected injury news, which there probably will be, especially with the Mac as we're talking about.
Yeah, there will be.
Yeah. Especially just something to mention with conference championship games and then bowl games coming up. Just players opting out, and maybe this news isn't out there until kickoff or warm-ups where it's like, this player isn't warming up, and it could be a top player because he's, actually a really good example. I think he's draft eligible, but Jalen Cropper, I think he's probably going to play in this championship game, but if, Fresno State's in a bowl game, like that could be a guy that sits out because he might be trying to get ready for the draft, that kind of thing. So,
you almost can't blame him.
Keep an eye on that news.
Exactly.
All right. Well, Pete, appreciate it. Well, good luck, everyone, and we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep, good season. Good luck.
That's it.